Hey, IDS 302, Summer Session B. Welcome to Memorial Day weekend. I think it is, yeah, Sunday. I'm here Sunday morning, May 24th. I'll get this posted today. I know it's a day earlier, but the module starts tomorrow. Welcome to Module 2. Let's get right into it. Again, I'm going to split this module up into two videos worth 5 points each. So please send me the Easter eggs that I'll give out. I hope everybody's feeling well and enough small talk, right? You didn't come here for that. So let's take a look. I've got a list of things, of course. Okay, so getting right into the learning materials for Module 2. The first one we see is approximately 7 pages by Leedy, and it's the nature of research. This is a Chapter 1 PDF I took from our previous textbook in this course, which was very in-depth about research itself. I didn't feel that it was targeting us as interdisciplinarians and integrative learners, so we kind of replaced it with Tanner. And but I wanted to save this because it's an excellent 7 pages about what research is. But I think more importantly, it talks about what research is not. Okay, and this is where I think it's really going to help you to get some context and be able to identify and define research at this level, okay? Not at the research a trip to Europe level, which is fine again, but not for here, right? So basically, I want you to look at this. It's very important to especially see what research is not. All right, so if everybody reads this, then they should be able to be ready to get into research, okay? And I'm just going through the top big points, but they talk about these research is not merely gathering information, right? It's just not what we talked about. It's not the high school kind of research, okay? Number 2, research is not merely rummaging around for hard to locate information. So, I had a student in my 302 once who one of his concentrations was geology. It's pretty cool. But I guess he said he went down to southern Arizona where the copper mines are. I have no proof of that, but just because it's hard to find doesn't mean it's research, right? Because you could make a case for discovering something new and doing research with existing data, okay, as much as you could with new data. However, discovery and new knowledge through existing data is very difficult to achieve, especially at the level that we're at here. It's for the experts who can pick and choose certain data around the world on things and look at stuff. Obviously, we can correlate all this to the coronavirus and what's going on with that. Number 3, research is not merely transporting facts from one location to another. So it's not enough to compile it into an easy to read, brief on something. It's not about that. Then he gets into what research is. There's a little chart here, being a cyclical process. And I want to emphasize that because, again, the research and the knowledge, we're not proving really anything. We're not proving it, okay? We are showing evidence of certain things, okay? Evidence of certain tendencies, okay? We're showing certain likelihoods, okay? But the word proof is rarely, if ever, found, okay, in real research, okay? So go through this because it tells you about what research is, and it's really good. I don't have to get into all this, but it's very important for you to get a good start on this paper that we're doing in this class, right? Which I'll be talking about at length soon enough, okay? But just get to that. Then we want to look at REPCO, the link. It'll open to key characteristics of interdisciplinary research in writing, which is a website from from ETSU. I think that's East Texas, but it's their Master of Arts in I think it's literary studies or something like that. But so don't let that intimidate you. This is a fairly brief little page of I don't know if I can do this. I almost knocked my iPad off the balcony second floor a little while ago. So see, it's not much of anything here, but it does give you, again, more ideas about what interdisciplinary scholarship is all about, okay? And the key characteristics and things that you should put in your toolbox for this type of writing, okay? So that's important. Then we get into chapters 4 and 5 of Tanner. And, okay, my dog-eared copy. They're only approximately 8 pages each chapter. Again, I wanted to make this concise reading. It's important. He doesn't fill in with a lot of too much distractive things. There are a couple, but I know some of you haven't read this yet. I'm not tired, I swear to God. Oh, God, what's wrong with me? Sorry about that. Can we edit that out? Where are my editors? Okay, so in chapter 4, you see I highlight certain things that I just want to call to your attention. First thing is critical thinking. It's a mental process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating information to reach an answer or a conclusion. Remember, the word proof isn't there. To engage in interdisciplinary or integrative studies, one must develop critical thinking skills. Obviously, that it's a really important thing for all of us, and especially in our field. I want you to take a look at that because critical thinking is very important, and especially look at this, list of characteristics of interdisciplinarians, critical thinkers. Okay. I also highlight metacognition. Metacognition is thinking about thinking. Are we aware of what we're thinking? Do you ever sit back and think about the thinker, and think about how we think? What these are important ways to dig into a different level. All right. Tanner says, and I quote, "I am concerned about how little of it people engage in today." He's talking about critical thinking. We live in a society where information is handed down from authoritative sources, just like I'm doing in this textbook. For you to take everything written in this book as true without consideration is not critical thinking. Again, critical thinking is questioning. It's especially questioning authority, questioning what's coming at you. Then he gets into about being a minister and stuff like that. I'm not really a fan of that part. But what I wanted to bring up, though, was how we critically think. And there was an article that caught my eye, like many of them do. And again, to be better consumers of research and information. Okay, so this was Washington Post. If you can look at this, it says I can't read it backwards. Anti-malarial drug touted by President Trump likely linked to increased risk of death in coronavirus patients, study says. That's the headline. It doesn't mean it's great yet, okay, or anything, but let's take a look because we know this hydrochloroquine it's been out there for whatever reason, and there were little studies done. Obviously, research is trying to catch up to this whole pandemic thing and look at some of the aspects of it to determine how the best way to move forward. Here now we have I think there was some initial maybe anecdotal, which means they're like somebody, like I know somebody who did this or that's anecdotal. Or there could have been miniature studies that showed maybe there was a tendency to help this or that or prevent. But this was a study of 96,000 hospitalized coronavirus patients on 6 continents. And it found that those who received this drug, it was called by the president as a game changer, they had a significantly higher risk of death compared to those who did not. Significantly higher. Okay? Again, the word proof isn't used. We're talking about tendencies, talking about significant changes, talking about any change. Right? The study published Friday. Published. That means it's peer reviewed. Well, is it? We got to see where it was published. In the medical journal Lancet. Bingo. Okay, so this comes in a quality, peer reviewed journal. Okay, in medicine. All right. Now, if you're in 301 or from other classes, you should understand that academic journals have an important place in our society. We use those to have peer review, to have the peers look at it and pick it apart, right? Or to say, hey, this looks like good research. Let's publish it. Okay. Most researchers, want to be published, right? So to look at any kind of research, okay? If it's posted on Facebook, if they say it is a research, whatever, critical thinking says, how did they come to this? What was the study like? Not just say, wow, forward this sucker. Be careful, okay? You have a responsibility as an academic, as a scholar, as an intelligent human being, a participant in our society to not spread false news, fake news, right? Okay? So it says, like earlier smaller studies, it delivered disappointing news to a world eager for promising treatments. Okay, so, but this was this is what we're talking about being critical thinking. Okay, when someone who's not a medical professional says, "Oh man, take this hydrochloroquine or inject Clorox in yourself or turn a light on in your gut," what is science saying? Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that I totally disregard any kind of new age homeopathic kind of things, natural type, Ayurvedic things like that. No, I've looked at a lot of those things. Okay, in fact, my guru once said that he said, "Hey, if they told me that crystals could cure hemorrhoids, I get crystal chairs." Is that inappropriate? I don't know. Anyways, but so I'm just saying that have an open mind is important too. Okay, but that be critically thinking is also an important skill to have. Okay, so let's look at what did I do with Easter egg one? Oh, there it is. I think that's it. Let's go with Easter egg one. Let's just go with think critically. Okay, think critically. So important, right? Um, Back to the book. So integrative learning, talk about here, is obviously what we're doing. Obviously, you're going to read that. Um, Engaging in relevant coursework. Okay, so he's talking about some research or something, and not only were students able to consider topics as relevant to their lives, but they were able to describe specific connections to their own experiences. There's another reason why I want you to choose a topic or research topic or problem that resonates with you somehow. It can resonate with you in your concentrations, of course, in your academic journey, which would be great. But you should be able to have certain interest in it. I don't want to force anything on anyone. All right. So he's talking about how he just pieced things together and he saved things. He ended up with his literature review for his PhD. But here's an important point. Professors cannot create all of these connections, okay? And the connections being, everything, connecting between multiple perspectives, okay? Creating common ground, all right? Professors cannot create all these connections, okay? It's important for interdisciplinary students especially to learn to do this on their own, all right? So, when I'm looking at, for example, I would get in a debate with one of my friends maybe about immigration, all right? And they come up with a lot of anecdotal stuff and this and that, whatever. I'll go and I'll look then at immigration numbers. I'll look at the economics of it, the impact of it. I'll look at the humanitarian impact of it, okay? I look at different angles because you can look at it from jobs, look at it from responsibility as humanitarian, as a country that has a Statue of Liberty says, bring us, you're tired and you're hungry. Okay, that's still there, by the way. All right. Okay, so doing it on your own to be able to be a critical thinker, to think, not to win arguments or debates necessarily, but I've had many discussions with friends, good-natured discussions, my closest friends sitting around and we'll talk about a topic that could be a very tough topic for them to talk about or ask me about, but they trust me, so they'll ask me, and I can give them. I attempt to engage. I don't sit here and pontificate, but I engage and I ask them questions, and they give me answers to things. But it's done through through metacognition, thinking about thinking, how we think. It's done through critical thinking, right? Okay, so identifying multiple perspectives is an important aspect. Encountering conflict, okay? There's conflict in certain disciplines, okay? The economic discipline might say that, immigration, chill out, man. Or it might say, hey, we need immigrants. There's a lot of work that they do, okay? All right, but then humanitarian could say, we got to take people. we have to, help some of these people in conditions that we helped create. But then there could be other disciplines, law that says something different. So there are conflicts through connections, okay? But we got to have that. And there's talks about reconciling conflict, okay? And then the interdisciplinary research process. Why am I doing chapter 3? I apologize. Did I slip? Oh, my God. Chapter 4. I'm supposed to be on, right? I'm sorry. Chapter 4. Where did I leave off here? Metacognition. Okay. Well, that was a little review of chapter 3. Okay. We're talking about critical thinking, and then we got to this page about epistemology is a way of knowing. So remember that too. Think about that. Epistemology and metacognition are important. Think of a discipline as a box, he's saying here, these boxes. You can think of them that way, think of them as silos, whatever, but they are individual boxes of learning, information, knowledge, okay? And integrative and interdisciplinary studies engage in epistemological pluralism, which embraces the ambiguity that arises out of conflict and difference. So we're trying to integrate. Remember, we're not just looking at different disciplines. We're trying to integrate. And then when we do that, we're going to run into conflict. We've got to reconcile certain things. We have to think about how thinking. We have to think about how they're thinking. We have to think about how the way they're knowing, okay? Okay, it's important to reiterate here that interdisciplinarians need not become experts in a particular discipline. It is enough for them to be adequate. That's a very important point because it's one that's used against us very often. Well, how can you be an expert in your field and you're always dabbling in these little fields? No, it's not required. If you know, it's the same way that interdisciplinary studies is a difficult thing to grasp because it's teaching us how to do something. It's showing us that it's okay to dig into here and think about the processes, the theories, and what's concepts that are going into a particular discipline, and then to look at another one, and then to integrate those things and find the conflict and resolve them and move forward. Okay. Talking about Pete Petrie, I think is that you should be had looked at that. He suggested that different disciplines look at the same phenomenon, but they observe different effects. Okay, so again, this one here, you see the old lady. There's her mouth. There's her nose. Okay, and there's her hat. Or do you see the young woman who's looking that way, and there's her eyelashes, and this is her choker chain, and that's her jawline. Okay, so it could be the same artifact, same issue, but disciplines see it different ways. Can you, as an interdisciplinarian and integrative learner, spot those different ways to help you understand what's happening here and where the conflicts lie, right? Okay, so let's talk about learning from the gecko. All right, I'm going to add the link to this to the video announcement. I'd like you to take a look at it. It's very important. It's an excellent video. Okay, we watch it in 301, and I think I closed the window already. Can't remember how long it is. It's not long, but it's a great video. I show it in my class, and you'll spot disciplines right away and see how their minds were blown. Engineers, biologists, okay? It's fabulous. There's also another one I'll add on about the mug. It's only like a minute long, minute too long. It's about this mug. You got to see this thing. I'm surprised it didn't take off as well as it appeared to have, right? So I'll include those links to the announcement, all right? And then it finishes up here about worldviews. And remember talking about modernism, interpretivism, Marxism, postmodernism. These are ways that certain sciences and humanitarians look at the world through, because you should have structure in looking at it. That's how you define things, how you can break things down. You have to have a certain structure, even though I'm not talking about structuralists, so to speak, but then the epistemological reflexivity is just the examination. Okay, just read that, okay? And then chapter 5 is about integrative learning. All right, he uses it here. Much of it is common sense, right? That's what you think. Oh, man, I got to be a jack of all trades all day long. I got to think about what's going on for dinner and be a cook. And then I got to think about how I'm going to pay the bills and economics. And I'm going to watch TV and think about who I'm going to vote for. And that's political science. And I got to do this or that, right? It's common sense, okay? But not necessarily. The difference between that common sense and what we do is intentional. This is intentional. Okay, it's very important. Okay. Okay. Many times students take courses that do not seem to connect with one another. So it's important that they be intentional about finding ways to connect course content and learning across the curriculum. Okay. So there's an intention there. Intention is a very important word according to my guru. Okay. Intention. What is the intention? All right. Creating your own integrative experiences. Very important. He talks here about service learning, internships, study abroad. Okay. I mean, just was interested in humanitarian issues, refugee issues, which were so connected with my African studies. And I started volunteering at the Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest here in Phoenix in 2000. Actually, it was before I went to school. It was 2000, and I want to say 8 or 9 maybe that I started doing that. And I ended up doing it for about 6 years. I was helping the case managers, and I was being a mentor and a friend to families that were being resettled from all over the world. And it was mind-blowingly, gain knowledge for me. It wasn't like me saying, "Oh, I'm an American. Here, come and see I live in America." No, 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 you can't do that. An integrative learner, a lifetime learner, looks at that as an opportunity. Wow, I get to learn about this new culture, about how they do things. And we can all laugh together too. When they said they were going to make me a pizza, I said, "No, I don't want pizza." And then about 20 minutes later, I'm smelling something, and they got this pizza spinning around in a microwave with the plastic still on it. I'm like, "No, here's an oven." Oh, wow. And their minds were blown. But at the same time, they told me what it was like to live in a different culture, different lifestyle. Okay. In turn, I ended up doing my research, I think in 401 or 402, whatever it was, on the concept of the American dream through recently resettled refugees. And I went and I did surveys with recently resettled refugees, and then I did random adult surveys. I broke a few rules. I didn't know what I was doing that much, but I did the best I could. Actually came out interesting. I mean, we ranked what certain things were important and analyzed that. So we looked at it and found out that, for the random group, the most important thing is a job. Okay, the job. For the recently settled refugees, it was education, right? Because they didn't have, here, you get used to, like, I can go to school if I want or not, I'll be there, I'll figure it out, right? I just need a job. Refugees, recently resettled refugees, wanted that education that they really wasn't available to them where they were from, and then they were going to get the job, but they wanted the education. Okay, so there were different aspects, religion, family. I did all this stuff, owning a house. Okay, but it was interesting, and so talking about this and being a responsible citizen, what I'm getting at is that I started doing this before I went to college. Okay, I was only in my 40s then, and I loved it. It was very meaningful work, helpful. I kept track of them. I've still worked with them now and then. I did an internship with them. I ended up teaching classes then before I did any of this. I taught job skills, or job interview skills. I taught um, technology skills. I work in technology. And I taught orientation skills, especially for Phoenix. Not everybody has to go through orientation before they get to the U.S., but if you end up in, New Haven, Connecticut, that's different than ending up in Phoenix, Arizona, right? Just think of the weather. So many things to adjust to that I was able to help, and I would talk to classrooms with 40, 50 people. They could have been from, oh God, at least 7 to 8 different languages, cultures, each with their own interpreter. It was amazing. And what a way to feel like you're contributing. And I was doing it as a volunteer, and I loved it. And that was the work I thought I would get into. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk about um, integrative learning has an emotional appeal. When students become passionate about their learning, whether academic, job related, learning something about relationships, or learning something new about parenting, blah, blah, blah. When you become passionate about a topic, it ignites your enthusiasm, and integration is more likely to happen. So there's passion. I found that, because like I said, I was doing art, I was doing my photography, videography, painting. I was doing a lot of things, writing, and it was integrating. I was integrating it all. I didn't even realize at the time, but I was passionate about it. And it was the passion that took me to where I am today. Yeah, right. But I love it. I can't believe where I am today. And I've just followed my passion. All right. But let's just look at this. Here's the cardinal sin, but it's good to see in a textbook. Education is not is a quest, not a requirement. Okay, without my bachelor's that I got in 2013, I still would have mounted something. Damn it! But it's not a requirement. You can learn. You can learn anything. We're just getting certified here. You're getting through an organized structure of learning, but it's not a quest. You know, a self-directed lifetime learner, okay, is someone who is learning and applying, learning and applying. I was a district manager for the Milwaukee Journal, which is a newspaper, real paper, back in the day, late 80s, early 90s. Okay, I was a district manager, meaning I was in charge of all these paper routes and getting 3,300 people their paper every day. And like most people in the Milwaukee area in southeastern Wisconsin, it was a huge paper. It was an afternoon paper at the time, and we all did it the same way. All the districts, it was about 50 of them. You had your carriers, your 12-year-old, 14-year-old paper boys, paper girls. You had a station that you worked out of. You had an assistant manager with you. You got the papers out every day, and blah blah blah. And and every now and then you'd have a meeting or a contest, things like that. It's a world of sales and circulation, but it's also product driven. Okay. All right. I'm looking at this, and where I am in like kind of a suburb area of Milwaukee, and I'm looking at the dynamics of there's a lot of apartment buildings in my district. There's a lot of homes that are moving that are kind of into the suburb. That's kind of that hybrid suburb city. But a lot of the mail wasn't delivered door to door. It was on the street, whatever. And there were newspaper boxes, not a lot of sidewalks. I'm like, why do I have kids doing this? Wouldn't adults be kind of turned on by the prospect of making some money as an entrepreneur, independent contractor? So I started scoping out some adults. I ended up taking it down from 55 carriers to about 8 adults. Okay, now you can say that I knocked these kids out of their first job, but some of them weren't really excited about it anyways. The rate of service was not that great. So there is a plus minus to it. But the other managers looked at me and they joked. They said, we got to have our station meetings in a big room and balloons. He said, you could have yours in a booth at Denny's. But I streamlined it, the operation. I had adults who cared, okay, and they were making good money at the time then too. All right, so why they fire me? I don't know. No, it was really, I thought, an innovative way, and as time went on, most everyone ended up with adult carriers. Okay, so this is something that I looked to do in when I spotted that, and I went ahead and did it, and not just went along with the routine. I saw some different things there. You could say I saw psychology in that adults could do this work better and care about it more. Okay, I saw the economics of it, that more customers would be satisfied, the sales aspect, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's about it here on the on this. But read those chapters. Okay, let me get to Easter egg number 2. Let's call it think integratively. Think integratively, because remember that's what we're doing here too. Okay, all right. Now, in terms of the module again, and I know I'm running long but I'm hoping that I know I'm not straying too far. I'm hoping I'm giving you some valuable information here. I want you to read this ethics and IRB information page. It's a must. Okay, it's here. It's the ethics IRB. Talks about research you can and can't do. Okay, officially. All right. So you can't use vulnerable populations. Well, we can, but you have to get certain. It's the Institutional Review Board. It only meets every couple of months or something like that, and we don't have time to do that, obviously. And as undergrads, you don't need to get into those kind of topics. Okay, so I just want you to read this though because it's important to know what you can and can't do when it comes to academic research at any level, from here to postdoctoral to even outside research, right? So read that, and then okay, your research topic. The big assignments here then, your research topic. There's a quiz, then there's Tanner step 1. So the research topic, 30 points for boys is important, right? Because here you're gonna submit a Word doc. Sorry, Siri doesn't think I'm talking to her. I put some suggestions in some kind of topics. I used to be Not a fan of the general big topics, but I've changed my mind a little bit. So I'm giving you some ideas. If you have an idea, please tell me. Okay, there's a good chance I'll approve it. Okay, if you have something that's in your wheelhouse that you're passionate about, that you think you can fly, and I know it's going to be tough because you don't know what the rest of the road looks like, so it's hard for you to decide what to do it on, right? I get that completely. And we're going to be talking on Wednesday's video much more about what this project looks like. What does it entail? What's going to happen? Okay, so I'd appreciate if you didn't do anything with step one or anything until, because you got to have an approved topic anyways, right? So get this going. Talk to me about if you have a different idea, but I thought I would add these in as appropriate issues and topics that can be solved with interdisciplinary studies and integratively, okay? The quiz, multiple choice, and true and false, 60 questions, I want to say. Is it 60? I think it is, yeah. And 15 multiple choice, 15 true and false. You should be able to get it if you did the readings. You should be able to have it. You don't have a ton of time to do it, of course. Just you have how much time? Quiz 1, 60 points, 30 minutes, 30 questions, a minute apiece. You should not need that long. You should not. You will do this thing in 10 minutes. Okay, it's about chapter 1 through 5. I'm sure you got this. All right. And then after that, we're going to talk a lot about Tanner Step 1. I'm saving that one. And we're going to talk about the paper. And I'm on 32 minutes already going on. So let's see. That's it. All right. So for Easter egg number 3. Okay, let's do this. Because I am so sad and vain, I want it to be happy birthday. Okay, because my birthday is Tuesday. And you know how you have a golden birthday? Like, you're 15 on the 15th and you're 21 on the 21st. And, well, for me, gold is the precious metal. What's the opposite of that? I don't know, tin, aluminum foil, because I'm 62 on the 26th. That's totally ass backwards, right? So I remember my 26 on 26, 1984. Boy, that was fun. This one, not so much. So yeah, let's just go happy birthday, because there's a lot of babies, a lot of people in the class, and I won't get a chance to say happy birthday to all of you. So let's just do that and get that out of the way. I think I'm gonna treat myself to Dunkin' Donuts, die of sugar intake, and go from there. Forks up as usual. Always stay healthy. Peace. Talk to you soon. Bye.